Bowls are simple, right? For cereal, soup, maybe holding keys. But I'm here to tell you, bowls are more than that. Bowls can be art you hold, art you eat from, art you pass down. We're talking texture bowls, bowls with character, with stories etched into their sides, bowls that beg to be touched, examined. Forget smooth, factory-made. We're after handmade beauty, the kind that comes from working with your hands, getting a little sawdust on your shirt. So, are you ready to ditch the mass-produced and embrace the handmade? Let's create a bowl with some soul. First things first, the wood. Like choosing your paint for a masterpiece, the wood sets the stage. Cherry, warm, reddish tones. Ages beautifully. Walnut rich, dark brown, known for its strength. Oak classic, sturdy, with prominent grain. Got a fallen branch from a storm, even better. Using reclaimed wood adds a story to your bowl before you even start carving. Remember, each piece of wood is unique. It's got knots, grains, imperfections. That's what makes it special. Work with the wood, not against it. Let it guide you. Now let's get shaping. You can turn a bowl on a lathe or carve it by hand. Lathe spins the wood, you use tools to shape it. Fast, efficient, good for symmetrical bowls. Hand carving, slower, more meditative. Use gouges, chisels, rasps. Allows for more organic, free-form shapes. No right or wrong here. Lathe gives you speed, hand carving gives you control, or do both. Rough shape on the lathe, then refine by hand. Important, leave the wood thicker than you think. The texturing process will remove material. Here's where the magic happens. Adding texture. 3 techniques to get you started. 1. Burning. Carefully use a blowtorch or propane torch to burn the wood's surface. Creates a rustic, charred look. Vary the flame intensity for different effects. 2. Chiseling. Use chisels, gouges, even old screwdrivers to carve patterns into the wood. Geometric designs, free-flowing lines, let your imagination run wild. 3. Embossing. Hammer various objects into the wood to create impressions. Try nails, screws, even textured fabrics. Experiment and see what unique patterns you can make. Safety first. Wear gloves, eye protection, and work in a well-ventilated area. Section 5. The finishing touch, oils and such. You've got a textured masterpiece. Now let's protect it. Oils, tung oil, linseed oil, even mineral oil. They penetrate the wood, enhance the grain, and provide water resistance. Apply in thin coats and let it dry thoroughly between applications. Waxes, beeswax, carnauba wax. These add a protective layer and enhance the shine. Apply after oiling and buff to a soft sheen. Remember, the finish should enhance, not hide the texture. Avoid thick, glossy finishes that obscure your hard work. Section 6. Bowls as art more than meets the eye. Bowls, often seen as simple vessels for holding food, can be so much more. They can be a canvas for artistic expression, a medium through which artisans communicate their creativity and passion. Here's the thing about texture bowls. They're more than just bowls. They're conversation starters. They're expressions of creativity. Each bowl tells a story, a narrative crafted by the hands that shaped it. When you pick up a textured bowl, you're not just holding a piece of pottery, you're holding a piece of someone's imagination and hard work. They're a connection to nature, to the material, to the handmade. The process of creating these bowls often begins with a walk in the forest, collecting natural materials that will later be transformed. The clay, the wood, the natural fibers. All of these elements are carefully chosen to bring a piece of the natural world into your home. When you run your hand over a textured bowl, you feel the story. The ridges and grooves are not just random patterns, they are the fingerprints of the artisan. Each mark, each indentation, is a testament to the time and effort invested in creating something unique. The grain of the wood, the natural lines that tell the age of the tree, the seasons it has witnessed, and the environment it grew in. These lines are like a diary, capturing moments in time and preserving them in the form of a bowl. The marks of the tools, the deliberate cuts and carvings, each one adding to the bowl's character. These marks are not imperfections, they are signatures, unique to each artisan, making every bowl a one-of-a-kind masterpiece. The history etched into its surface, it's a tactile experience, a journey through time and craftsmanship. When you hold a textured bowl, you're not just feeling the material, you're feeling the history, the tradition, and the culture that went into its making. A reminder that beauty can be found in the imperfect, the handmade, the unique. In a world that often values perfection and uniformity, these bowls stand as a testament to the beauty of individuality and the charm of the handmade. So, don't be afraid to experiment, make mistakes, learn from them. The process of creating textured bowls is as much about the journey as it is about the final product. Each mistake is a lesson, each attempt a step closer to mastering the craft, because in the end you'll have created something truly special, something that carries a part of you, your effort, your creativity, a piece of art that is not just to be seen but to be held, to be felt, to be experienced, a piece of art you can hold in your hands, a tangible connection to the artist, to the natural world, and to the timeless tradition of handmade craftsmanship. So next time you see a textured bowl, remember, it's more than meets the eye. Section 7. Design ideas. Let's get creative. Stuck in a creative rut? It happens to the best of us. Sometimes all you need is a change of scenery to spark new ideas. Step outside, breathe in the fresh air, and let nature be your muse. Here are some ideas to get those sawdust-covered wheels turning. Whether you're a seasoned woodworker or just starting out, these tips will help you see your craft in a new light. Nature's inspiration. Mimic the texture of tree bark, leaves, or even rock formations. Take a walk in the woods and observe the intricate details of the natural world. Notice how the bark of a tree has layers and grooves, or how leaves have veins and patterns. These elements can be translated into your woodworking projects, adding a touch of nature's beauty to your creations. Geometric patterns. Carve intricate geometric designs, creating a visually striking contrast. Geometric patterns can add a modern and sophisticated touch to your work. Experiment with different shapes and angles and see how they interact with the natural grain of the wood. The juxtaposition of organic and geometric elements can create a unique and eye-catching piece. Textured accents. Focus the texture on a specific area of the bowl, like the rim or base. Adding texture to certain parts of your project can create a focal point and add depth. Think about how the texture will feel to the touch and how it will catch the light. This can make your piece not only visually appealing, but also tactilely interesting. Color play. Use milk paint or natural dyes to add pops of color to the textured surface. Natural dyes can give your work a subtle and earthy tone, while milk paint can provide a more vibrant and opaque finish. Experiment with different colors and techniques to see what works best for your project. The addition of color can bring your piece to life and make it stand out. Reclaimed beauty. Incorporate old hardware, gears, or other found objects into the bowl's design. Using reclaimed materials can add a sense of history and character to your work. Look for interesting pieces at flea markets, antique shops, or even in your own garage. These elements can add a unique and personal touch to your project, making it truly one of a kind. Remember, there are no rules here. Creativity is about exploring and experimenting. Don't be afraid to try new things and make mistakes. Sometimes the best ideas come from happy accidents. Let your imagination be your guide. Sketch out your ideas, play with different materials, and see where your creativity takes you. The possibilities are endless when you let nature and your imagination work together. Section 8. Getting started. Jump in the deep end. Feeling inspired? Good. This is where the real journey begins. It's time to take that inspiration and turn it into action. Imagine the satisfaction of creating something with your own hands from scratch. The sense of accomplishment is unparalleled. Here's your call to action. Gather your tools, lay them out in front of you. Feel their weight, understand their purpose. Each tool has a story, a history, and a specific role in your creative process. You don't need a fancy workshop. A simple outdoor space will do. The open air, the natural light, and the sounds of nature can be incredibly inspiring. Your workspace is a reflection of your creativity. Start with the basics: a saw, chisels, sandpaper, and a few finishing products. These are your foundational tools. They may seem simple, but in the right hands they can create wonders. Find your wood. Scour lumber yards, salvage yards, or even your own backyard for interesting pieces. Each piece of wood has its own character, its own story. Look for unique grains, knots, and textures. Start small. Don't try to carve a masterpiece on your first attempt. Begin with a small project to get comfortable with the tools and techniques. It's about building confidence and understanding the material. Don't try to carve a masterpiece on your first attempt. Remember, every expert was once a beginner. Your first project is a stepping stone, a learning experience. Begin with a small project to get comfortable with the tools and techniques. As you work, you'll start to understand the nuances of each tool and how they interact with the wood. Don't be afraid to experiment. Try different woods, textures, and finishing techniques. Each experiment is a lesson, a step towards mastering your craft. The more you experiment, the more you'll discover your own unique style. Embrace the process, enjoy the journey, and let your creativity flow. Remember, the goal is not perfection, but progress. Section 9, Conclusion, a legacy in wood. Creating a textured bowl is about more than just making something useful. It's about connecting with a centuries-old tradition of craftsmanship, of creating beauty with your own two hands. So roll up your sleeves, grab a piece of wood, and start carving. You might be surprised at what you can create. And who knows, you might just inspire someone else to do the same. Now get out there and make some sawdust.